Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It has been a minute, but of course I wanted to get on here today and talk about the latest film in the Alien franchise, being Alien Romulus, directed by Fede Álvarez, starring Cailee, Spaeny, David Jonsson, Archie Renaud, Isabella Merced, Spike Fern, and Eileen Wu. And this follows a group of space colonists as they find a desolate ship that may take them to where they need to go off the colonies of which they have been tied to, but of course they find themselves in a bit more than what they bargained for. It is an alien movie. You can imagine what that might be. And I wasn't really sure what to expect from this film, but I heard a lot of great things before the movie was coming out, that Ridley Scott was producing it, of course, the original Alien director and the director of the last two films, one of which I've seen, being Prometheus, and the fact that it was hearkening back to that 1970s, early 80s aesthetic, which very much permeated the first two films, which both came out in the 70s and 80s. So there was a lot to be excited about. It seemed like Fede Álvarez, who's directed the remake of Evil Dead, which I did not see, but I hear people are very split on, but also Don't Breathe, which I thought was such an effective thriller when it came out. Seeing that movie in an empty theater with just my friend beside me, it was quite the experience, I must say. And even with that being said, the tension was so well thread and just unbelievable watching that film. And so I was really excited to see Álvarez take on the Alien franchise, a franchise that, let's be honest, needed a lot of invigorating, because I haven't seen 3, 4, and Covenant. I'll be right up front. But even with that being said, I think that Romulus is easily the best Alien film since Aliens in 1986, because my goodness, there were points in this film that I legitimately thought to myself, I like this more than the original Alien. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but bear with me, because I guess as much as I love Alien for what it is, I'm always someone who's drawn to character development, and so everyone does feel kind of disposable in that movie, and I always feel like the fact that I don't know enough about some of these characters holds me back at arm's length from fully loving that movie. I don't know, this could change when I rewatch it again, because of course it is like a perfectly directed film, and I would never, say otherwise. And Aliens is a great action blockbuster and in a totally different vein, and I love that one even more because of what they do with the characters of Ripley and Newt and everybody in between. It's just such an iconic 80s classic from the master James Cameron. So this honestly falls right between the middle of those two. The tension is so well brought forth through Álvarez's direction, which is so well done. This is one of the absolute best directed films of the year, right down from the details of the production design, the way he crafts this ever-evolving narrative, the way he builds the tension through certain plot elements, and how they weave together in such a creative way. It's really, I think, what any Alien fan could ask for, in my opinion. And I really do feel like this film has a lot of Oscar nominations coming its way for visual effects, production design. The original score by Benjamin Wallfisch here is really very reminiscent of the Jerry Goldsmith score from the original 1979 film. So that alone, I think it is one of the strongest musical scores of the entire year. I hope it gets at least shortlisted. Is that too much to ask for, Academy? But anyway, I think this also probably get into sound as well, because it's so well crafted here that you can't help but praise this film for its technical laurels. I think everybody will agree with that, mainly. Besides maybe one element of the film, which I might get into, I might not, because we'll talk about it. But regardless, I just think from top to bottom, aesthetically, this is just perfectly in line with the first Alien film, which I know was a problem a lot of people had with Prometheus, because, like, even though it takes place before the first Alien, it's kind of one of those things where it really looks far more advanced, like it was made in the future. In this film, I certainly don't feel that about. It really does capture that aesthetic perfectly, like I said. But the performers here, too, are really great. I think, especially a few I have to mention, Isabella Merced, who's been great in everything since Instant Family. I think she really gives a very, very strong performance here for what she's given. And yet again, I think everyone in this movie is good to some extent. But of course, people are going to be talking about Cailee Spaeny as Rain, who really is kind of like the Ripley-esque protagonist of the story. And she's been consistently great in everything in the past year, whether it be Priscilla or most recently Civil War. You always know she's going to deliver a very solid, great performance in general, and I think she's becoming one of the most reliable actors we have in the business right now, of this new crop of emerging talent. But one guy I have to mention, and I think the absolute standout in the movie, everyone will probably agree on this, is David Jonsson as Andy, who I think was great in last year's Rye Lane, an absolutely fantastic rom-com if you haven't checked it out on Hulu. But here I think he gives by far the most complex, interesting, and very technically difficult performance in the entire film, and he pulls it off flawlessly. I think he's close to being Oscar-worthy in this. I really do. And I think that Andy is by far the best character in the franchise after Ripley. I really mean that. Like, he is unbelievable in this, and I really hope this breaks him out in the way that he needs, because we need to be seeing David Jonsson and so much more. And his role is so integral to the progression of this film in ways that are surprising and complex. I absolutely love what he does in this, and really going to be the character everybody's going to be talking about. But back to the actual story here, which really does feel so fresh in the way these pieces come together. There's so many little creative flourishes in the storytelling that may not seem significant but tie back in so many cool ways when it comes to the kills, when it comes to how do we escape this sort of space that we're trapped in, quite literally. And I think this film does not feel very derivative in the slightest because of it. It benefits so much from the vision that Álvarez brought to this. You can tell that he is such a great fan of the Alien films, and the reverence that he brings to this material through his direction is unbelievable. I mean, especially when you get to the last act of this movie, it's absolutely insane. And I think right before you get to the very final few minutes of the movie, I think it's some of the best scenes in any Alien film, or otherwise. You could even argue maybe the best sequence in Alien. I don't think that will be held by everyone, but I certainly think it has to be in the conversation. That is, until some very noticeable, blatant fan service takes over the movie. This is the criticism you're going to hear everybody talk about, and it is more than warranted. I completely understand. There's some things in this movie that I didn't mind as much as other people, but looking back at it, there was one, no reason to have it in the film, and two, visually speaking, it looked like dog doo-doo. So, it's one of those things where your mileage is going to vary in that regard. And I think there's other things about this movie when it comes to referencing other films in the franchise where it doesn't really make sense why it's being referenced. Just because, oh, we're an Alien movie, we have to point out, this and greatest hits, whatever. I think it's such a cop-out for what is a tremendous Alien film by all other accounts. I really don't think that this was necessary. It might have been studio interference. I don't know. But considering how big these moments are, it really does distract from the overall narrative. Now, I came so close to loving this movie, and I really think a lot of Alien fans will too. But as great as it is, I just feel like, for me personally, the score I'm going to give this is really going to reflect the fact that I can't in good conscience give this the same score that I gave Alien and Aliens. But I really do feel like if I watch this movie again, I might love it. It might be an honorable mention or something at the end of the year, because legitimately, Alien Romulus is such a return to form for this franchise in the most bold and creative ways that you can imagine. Sure, it's going to split hairs with some people, especially the ending, which is absolutely balls to the wall insane. And I think a huge swing. You've probably been hearing that as well. But I think for those who really appreciate the craft of these movies and what Álvarez did trying to make this film, I think most fans are going to be more than pleased. This is one of the absolute best Alien films in the franchise, up there with the original two, I think. And I'm going to give it a very, very strong 8 out of 10. Really could push this over once I see it again, once I hit streaming. I'm very excited to watch this again because I had such a blast watching this. It's just the moments that really distract from the film are so noticeable that they can't really be ignored. And so I do have to count that against an otherwise absolutely excellent movie. But you guys let me know what you think about Alien Romulus down in the comments below. Is this one of the best films in the Alien franchise? Do you put it on par with the original two films? Let me know down in the comments. And of course, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more reviews coming very soon. There's definitely a few movies I'm very much looking forward to coming out soon. And, you know, I want to come on here and announce that I will be attending the Toronto International Film Festival once again like I did last year. So sooner than later, you're going to see many out-of-the-theater reactions, movie reviews for all the stuff that I'm going to be seeing at TIFF. And I can't wait to see that and share that with you all. So in the meantime, please have yourselves a good week, and I will talk to you hopefully very soon. Take it easy now.